Welcome to PBS 39 Scholastic Scrimmage. Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by
Scholastic Scrimmage is sponsored by St. Luke's University Health Network, the region's leading provider of medical education. For more than 100 years, St. Luke's has been dedicated to educating physicians, nurses, and healthcare professionals. To learn more, call St. Luke's InfoLink, toll free at 866 St. Luke's, or visit sluhn.org.
And now your host, Dr. Karen Walton, Provost DeSales University.
Welcome to Scholastic Scrimmage. This is the 14th contest of the 2016-2017 academic year. It's also the 43rd year that PBS 39 has brought you this academic competition. I'm Karen Walton, and I'm delighted to be your host. From now until May, the best and brightest students from 30 schools will compete for the honor of being the Scholastic Scrimmage champions. At the end of the season, the two final teams will win scholarships for their schools from the Air Products Foundation. Let's meet the team from Whitehall High School.
I'm John Slapsky, and I'm a senior.
I'm Austin Dord, and I'm also a senior.
I'm Rafi Yakub, and I'm a senior.
I'm Miles Blumina, and I'm a junior.
Whitehall's coach is Stephen Adams. And now the team from Northwestern Lehigh High School.
I'm Patrick Maurer, junior.
I'm Mason Seckler, junior.
I'm Jared Kensinger, and I'm a junior.
I'm Calvin Newland, and I'm a junior.
Northwestern Lehigh's coach is Jacqueline McMullen. The judges for today's contest are Sally Campbell, retired English teacher, and Dr. Gary DeLeo, professor of physics at Lehigh University. Remember that the questions on Scholastic Scrimmage demand rapid recall of factual information and are not necessarily indicative of academic training. We understand the rules, so let's begin the contest with a toss-up in American literature. Name this important American poet, sometimes credited along with Whitman, for bringing American poetry into the 20th century. Considered eccentric in later middle age, this spinster always dressed in white, and after middle age rarely ventured beyond her home and gardens. Whitehall?
Emily Dickinson.
Yes, and your bonus. Fill in the blank to complete these final lines from Dickinson's poem. My life closed twice before its close. Blank is all we know of heaven and all we need of hell.
You don't have to whisper.
I don't know.
Rafi?
Life.
It's parting is all we know of heaven and all we need of hell. Toss up in algebra. If A doesn't equal 0, which one of the expressions on the monitor is undefined? Is it a to the 0, 0 over a, radical negative 0, or 0 over a? Excuse me, a over 0. Whitehall?
A over 0.
You are correct. That is undefined. And your bonus. Factor the expression on the monitor, which is 49 minus 9y squared. Rafi?
Negative 18y.
That is incorrect.
Yes, it is.
Factoring it, it's got two factors. One is 7 minus 3y, and the other factor is 7 plus 3y. It's the difference of squares. Toss up in U.S. history. The first Persian Gulf War occurred in what year? Northwestern Lehigh?
1991.
Bonus. For 5 points each, the U.S. set what small country free from Iraq during the Gulf War? Mason?
Kuwait.
Yes. Second. The Persian Gulf War military initiative was called what? Rafi? Mason?
Desert Storm.
Yes. Good teamwork. Toss up in language arts. Name the 3 types of verbals in English usage. gerunds, participles, and infinitives. Current events. The refurbishing of the Capitol Rotunda in Washington, D.C. has been completed. Which founding father, ascending into heaven, is depicted on the mural on the dome's ceiling? Founding father. George Washington. Toss up in U.S. history. Identify the black civil rights leader who wrote in Strides Towards Freedom, "He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetuate it." Whitehall?
Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes, and your bonus. From which city's jail did Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. write in April 1963, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere"?
Montgomery.
Rafi?
Montgomery.
Birmingham. Toss up in mathematics. Evaluate the 2x2 determinant on the monitor. It is 10. It is 12 minus 2. Looking at the diagonals. And your toss-up next is in language arts. In an essay on lobbyists, Jeffrey Goldberg describes a Washington, D.C. lobby as a leviathan among lobbies, as influential in its sphere as the National Rifles Association and the American Association of Retired Persons are in theirs. Provide a synonym for leviathan. Whitehall?
Monster.
Absolutely. Right on. Bonus. The Leviathan has both mythological and biblical roots and is described in several ways. For 5 points each, name 2 of the ways Leviathan has been described in those early sources.
Well, I mean, it's a Greek monster and a sea serpent.
Rafi?
It's a sea serpent in biblical, and it's a Greek monster in mythology.
I believe that Mrs. Campbell will accept both of those. We good? We're good. Thank you. Other things were dragons, dolphins, whales, and so on and so forth. Toss up in U.S. geography. The headwaters of the Lehigh River are near what city? Whitehall?
Bethlehem.
Northwestern Lehigh?
Allentown.
Scranton, the headwaters. Toss up in chemistry, multiple choice. What will a thermoplastic material do when heated? Will it harden, soften, evaporate, or become superconducting? A thermoplastic material, when heated, will soften. Thermoplastic. Toss up in mathematics. Find 2 numbers whose sum is 50 and whose product is a maximum. Whitehall?
25 and 25.
Yes. Bonus. 240 meters of fencing is available to enclose a rectangular playground. What should the dimensions of the playground be to maximize its area?
60 by 60.
60 by 60. We got 10 seconds.
Rafi?
60 by 60.
Yes, that rectangle should be a square. Toss-up in British literature. In a 2008 New Yorker article about the Clinton campaign, Ryan Lizza describes the mood of the media prior to the Ohio and Texas primaries through the words of a London Times reporter, quote, "We have come to bury Hillary, but we may end up praising her," end of quote. What famous English playwright was he paraphrasing? Whitehall?
Shakespeare.
Yes. And your bonus. The original words, "I have come to bury Caesar, not to praise him," were spoken in Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar by what character at Caesar's funeral?
Brutus.
Rafi?
Brutus.
It is Mark Antony.
Oh.
Good try. Toss up in world history. What Greek mathematician and native of Syracuse was killed during its capture by the Romans during the Second Punic War? He was drawing geometric figures in the sand and was killed by a soldier who did not recognize him. Whitehall?
Archimedes.
Yes, and your bonus. Which 17th century English philosopher developed a method of experimentation that derives its conclusions by proceeding from particular instances to general principles and by discounting previous conclusions and theories? Francis Bacon. Chemistry. Name the type of suspension formed by dispersing a liquid in a gas. It's aerosol or liquid aerosol. Toss up in art. The French artist Toulouse-Lautrec painted the picture on the monitor entitled "At the Moulin Rouge" in 1892. What is this style of painting? Whitehall?
What is surrealism?
Over to Northwestern Lehigh.
What is Impressionism?
Impressionism is correct, or post-impressionism. And your bonus. What Midwestern American museum is home to the Moulin Rouge? Midwestern. The Art Institute of Chicago. Next toss-up is in chemistry. There are 5 elements in the halogen family. Name 4 of the 5. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine. Next bonus is in world literature. According to the Sermon on the Mount, in what way will the meek be blessed? Whitehall?
They will be strong.
Over to Northwestern Lehigh.
With their fruits of their labor.
The meek shall inherit the earth. It's halftime. The halftime score is Whitehall 75, Northwestern Lehigh 25. In the first round, we asked the students to tell us something about a role model or a mentor that they have. So let's begin with Whitehall. John?
My mentor is my dad. He has set my morals in a good place.
My role model is my mother because she's taken care of me all my life.
My mentor would be my mother because she always showed me how to work hard in life.
I'd say that some of the teachers and coaches who have run clubs and sports I've been in would be my mentors.
Thank you. Let's go over to Northwestern Lehigh.
My mentor would be Richard Dawkins for his undevout, for writing The Selfish Gene and The God Delusion.
Thank you.
My role model would be my grandfather.
My role model would be my mother for putting up with me my entire life.
My role model would have to be my father for showing me how to basically succeed in life.
I think everybody would appreciate your comments. Thank you. Let's continue with a toss-up in world history. An Austrian archduke was assassinated in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, in 1914, triggering World War I. What was his name? Northwestern Lehigh.
Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
And your bonus. A passenger liner was sunk off the coast of Ireland in 1915 by a German U-boat. This event brought outrage from Americans and British alike. Name the liner. Mason?
Lithuania.
Lusitania. Very close, Lusitania. Toss up in physics. A 4-kilogram rifle shoots a .004 kilogram bullet at a speed of 1,000 meters per second. What is the recoil speed of the rifle in meters per second? It's 1 meter per second. Toss up in mathematics. Factor the expression x squared minus y squared. Whitehall?
X plus y times x minus y.
Correct. Quantity. X plus y times quantity x minus y. Bonus. Paper and pencil. State, in factored form, the binomial whose expansion is 8 plus 12x plus 6x squared plus x cubed. Stated in factored form. It is the quantity x plus 2 cubed, or the quantity 2 plus x cubed. Next toss-up is in music, multiple choice. Listen to this musical excerpt titled Die Walküre, Ride of the Valkyries. And from the following, you will have to name the composer after you hear the selection. Is it 1, Emil Waldteufel, 2, Karl Maria von Weber, 3, Richard Wagner, or 4, Richard Strauss? Whitehall?
3.
You're right, it is Wagner. And your bonus. Die Walküre, Ride of the Valkyries, tells the tale of an ancient Scandinavian myth. For 5 points each. First, who are the Valkyries?
They're like angels in Norse mythology.
Rafi?
Angels in Norse mythology.
Angels, will you expand a little bit more on that?
Angel warriors.
What did they hover over?
Valhalla.
I do not think Mrs. Campbell will accept it. Good try. They are the Norse maidens who hovered over the battlefield.
Okay.
I think that excerpt was from Apocalypse Now. You could hear the helicopters, the movie. And next, what animals are to be visualized by the excerpt?
Bulls.
Rafi?
Bulls.
It's winged horses or swans. Next toss-up is in American literature. Name the poem that opens with these lines. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I... Whitehall?
The Raven.
Yes. Bonus. Name the woman the speaker is lamenting and trying unsuccessfully to forget in the poem.
Lenore.
Rafi?
Lenore.
Yes. Miles is very hot today. Toss-up in that is a compliment. Toss-up in geography. An area of land can be hot or cold, but if it receives an average of less than 10 inches, did I hear you buzz in? Yes. Okay, Whitehall?
Desert.
Yes. Bonus. Give the word for the process by which exposed land surfaces are broken down into small particles or worn away by water, wind, or ice.
Precipitation. We have time. What, erosion?
Rafi?
Erosion.
Yes. U.S. history. This American orator, politician, and religious figure was known as the Boy Orator from the Platte and the Great Commoner at various points in his long career that included his serving as Woodrow Wilson's Secretary of State until, as a committed pacifist, he resigned in 1915. Name him. William Jennings Bryan. Toss-up in mathematics. What geometrical constructions would you perform to find the point that is equidistant from the three vertices of a triangle? You would construct the perpendicular bisectors of the sides of the triangle and see what that point of intersection is. Called the circumcenter. Next toss-up is in biology. Organ systems work together to maintain the dynamic balance of the human body. What is the biological term for this balance? Whitehall?
Homeostasis.
Correct. Bonus. What organ system's homeostatic ability regulates the volume and composition of blood and bodily fluids? Rafi?
Circulatory.
It is the urinary system. Next toss-up is in mathematics. What is the volume of a sphere with radius of 3 inches? Whitehall?
12 pi cubic inches.
Goes over to northwestern Lehigh. It is 36 pi cubic inches. Very close, Miles. The formula is volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Very close. Toss-up in world history. Identify the system adopted by Napoleon Bonaparte in the early 1800s as a means of economic warfare against Great Britain. Northwestern Lehigh?
The continental system.
Correct, and your bonus. Name the war Napoleon fought against Great Britain from 1800 to 1814 on the Iberian Peninsula in an attempt to enforce his continental system. The Peninsular War. Physics multiple choice. Newton's third law states that for every force there is an equal and opposite force. A book on a desk is held down by the gravitational force that the Earth exerts on the book. Which of the following forces forms a third law pair with this gravitational force? Is it A, the force that the desk exerts on the book, B, the force that the book exerts on the desk, or C, the gravitational force that the book exerts on the Earth? Whitehall,
A.
over to Northwestern Lehigh,
C.
is correct. Toss up, a bonus for Northwestern Lehigh is multiple choice. Which of the following wavelengths of light is visible to the human eye? Is it 4,500 angstroms, 200 nanometers, or 1 micrometer? Mason?
B.
It is A, 4,500 angstroms. Toss up in mathematics. Complete the following statement from geometry. The sum of the measures of the exterior angles of a regular pentagon is Northwestern Lehigh?
360 degrees.
Yes. Bonus. Which of the functions on the monitor is not a one-to-one function? Mason?
C.
It is A. Many to one because, for example, f of 2 is equal to 2 and f of negative 2 is equal to 2, so it is many to 1. Toss up in world literature. In a New Yorker article on his Asperger's syndrome, Tim Page recalls listening for the first time to a recording of Wagner's prelude to Das Rheingold. Quote, Minerva-like, the music springs to life, fully formed, from dead silence to fever pitch. Who was Minerva? Northwestern Lehigh?
The Roman goddess of war.
Over to Whitehall. Miles?
The Roman goddess of knowledge and war.
Did you say knowledge of war?
Knowledge and war.
We will accept that. And no, we will not accept that. The goddess of wisdom. Good try. The contest is over. The final score is Whitehall 135 and Northwestern Lehigh 60. Our thanks to Northwestern Lehigh for being with us. Congratulations to Whitehall High School. We'll see you for a second round later in the season. Thank you for watching and supporting these excellent students. Please join us next week for another contest on Scholastic Scrimmage.
Scholastic Scrimmage is brought to you by the members of PBS 39 and by
Scholastic Scrimmage is sponsored by St. Luke's University Health Network, the region's leading provider of medical education. For more than 100 years, St. Luke's has been dedicated to educating physicians, nurses, and healthcare professionals. To learn more, call St. Luke's InfoLink, toll free at 866 St. Luke's, or visit sluhn.org.
This program is recorded at the PPL Public Media Center at PBS 39 in Bethlehem.